Happy Sunday! I'm Pastor Akila, one of the pastors here At the Table, and I want to personally welcome you to this Sunday edition to At the Table. Regardless of who you are, what you look like, where you live, who you love, gender expression, what you do, what you don't do, immigration status, or age, there is a seat for you at the table. Welcome!
Over the past 3 weeks, we have listened to sermons about God being the source of love, the language of love, and what it means to love ourselves. This week, we wrap up our love series with the question, what does it mean to really love our neighbor? When we hear this question, the answer seems simple enough, right? Treat others as you would like to be treated. But what if I told you the answer is really not so simple? In order to properly answer this question, I want us to take a look at the scripture in the Gospel of Thomas. The Gospel of Thomas is a non-canonical gospel, which means it's not included in the canon or the Bible as we know it today. Yet this gospel is composed of 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. Let us read the scripture in the Gospel of Thomas. Jesus said, "Love your brother like your soul. Guard him like the pupil of your eye." When we read this saying, I want us to notice three important parts that are required of us in order for us to properly practice loving our neighbor. First, love your brother. We are wise enough to understand that the use of the term brother is not only meant for a blood sibling. We can use this term or substitute this term with sister or simply sibling. Even further, we have stepbrothers, stepsisters, and friends who have become as close to us as a sibling. We should also think of our neighbors as a sibling so that we can remove that separation. Love your brother and love your sister, and love your neighbor and love your sibling. Regardless of which term we want to use, in this sentence, we are directed to recognize that we are all connected. We are all siblings because we share the same parent, God. Therefore, loving others or loving our neighbors first requires that we acknowledge that we are connected as siblings. My love for my neighbor should be in the same way that I love my own siblings. But the verse does not stop there. 2, love your brother like your soul. When we say the word soul, we hear the value and the weight the word holds. Recognize that loving our siblings, loving our neighbors, is as valuable as our own soul. It holds that much weight. Now, this is not a kumbaya, fake it till we make it kind of love. This is not a business transaction kind of love. This is not an I do so that you can do kind of love. This kind of love can only be understood when you are looking at someone who doesn't look like you, doesn't think like you, doesn't believe in the same things that you believe in. And the only thing you see in them is your own soul. You do no harm to your sibling. You don't steal from your sibling. You don't hurt your sibling on purpose. You don't say lies about your sibling. You don't even lie to your sibling. You don't invent false rumors about your sibling. You say you see your sibling and you love them simply because your own soul is staring back at you. Now, don't get the message wrong. This isn't always easy, because some people you will have to learn to love from a distance, and that is okay. Many pastors won't say this, but it is okay to love people from a distance, because love does no harm. God did not create us to be punching bags for other people. And the truth is, many people cause harm to others because they themselves are hurting. But just because someone is hurting, it does not ever give them the right to hurt someone else. Because then what we have is a vicious, never-ending cycle. So some people you will have to stay away from in order to prevent them from hurting you, and in order for you to not hurt them back. You'll learn to love them from a distance, because they are not loving you the way Jesus says. But that doesn't mean you wish them harm. That doesn't mean you talk bad about them, because the instruction from Jesus is to love them nonetheless. Maybe at a distance, but love them nonetheless. And in case you're wondering, love from a distance looks like praying for them, because this is the most powerful thing you can do, especially when you are loving someone from a distance. It's easier to say love your neighbor without thinking of all the things this simple statement actually entails. If only Jesus had stopped there, but he didn't. The scripture goes on to read, "Love your brother like your soul. Guard him like the pupil of your eye." To guard, to protect, to watch over, to keep safe. Any way you want to think of it, this last statement equates love with action. Love is an action that will require us to act in a position of protection when our neighbor, our brother, our sister, our sibling needs it. Because if something is being done to our sibling, harming them, it should affect us and it should move us to act. To recap, loving our siblings requires that we understand that we are all connected, we are valuable, and that love pushes us to action. I invite you to go back over our love series and the sermons from the previous weeks, because until we fully understand God as the source of love, our love language, and how to love ourselves, loving our sibling is still only a nice idea. But Jesus didn't instruct us to a nice idea. Jesus invites us to take action. So today I pray that you and I will begin to embrace what it really means to love our neighbor.
Thank you, Pastor Jessica, for that message. I have a few announcements before we go. First, today at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, we'll be having and offering our table talk differently this week. This week, we're going to try offering our table talk on Instagram Live. So please join us. If you are on Instagram, join us for Table Talk, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on Instagram. If you have questions, comments, whatever this particular sermon or sermon series brought up for you, please feel free to leave those comments and we will make sure to include that in our Table Talk this evening. The second announcement is that if you know someone who is transgender or someone in their support systems who might be interested in joining the Transforming Faith group that's offered weekly on Tuesdays at 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific, please reach out to myself or Pastor Jessica for that Zoom link to join the group. And the last message is like this on whatever platform you're watching it, like it, share it, comment, subscribe, and follow us. We appreciate it. Thank you. And know that as we go forth today, that loving our neighbor isn't easy. Because if it was, can you imagine the world we'd be living in right now? It's hard. It takes work. It takes a consciousness and awareness. It's that love for ourselves. It's seeing ourselves in our neighbor. That is our task. That is our duty. And when it gets too hard, it's okay. Forgive ourselves. We have the next day to try it over again. And as Pastor Jessica said, for those situations that are too hard to love up front and close and personal, we can step back and love from a distance. Regardless, anyway, either way, continue to work towards loving yourself and loving your neighbor as yourself. Go in peace and go in love.